Hey, this is Chris with Rekkid Talk, and so we're answering a thread. This will be Martin at the Vinyl Scavenger. He's one of the cool VC guys over in the United Kingdom. He shows lots of unusual records. He likes 7-inch records. He sent me really fun VCLT in the past. And I was slacking a little bit, but I saw your video and I wanted to jump in on this. I saw Vinyl Richie's response to it. So it's the Red and Dead. So we start off with some records with red spines. Then we get all morbid and talk about dead musicians. And I'll work in some dead bands along the way. Maybe others have done that as well. I've only watched Martin's video and Vinyl Richie's video from this so far. But Vinyl Richie was showing lots of punk bands, so obviously here's Red, the Gears, rocking at Ground Zero. Maybe Vinyl Richie saw them. This was like an LA-based punk band. It was sort of like the Ramones, if the Ramones sang about surfing and going to the beach a lot. And by beach, I don't mean like a New York City beach. And Kid Spike looks like he wants to go back to the 50s there. They got fun songs like Let's Go to the Beach and Don't Be Afraid to Pogo and I Smoke Dope and the like. So they weren't really political. They were kind of a fun early 80s punk band. Then, of course, who used to be obsessed with Red? Well, Jack White used to be obsessed with Red. White Stripes, Get Behind Me, Satan. And so you can see there's a very strong red motif there with Jack and Meg on this particular album. This was one of their later albums, probably not as well known, relatively speaking, in terms of this. You got songs like Blue Orchid on here. And then we've got to show some off-the-wall stuff because it's Martin. And so I've got a Greek record. It's got that side's blue, that side's red. It's all in Greek, so most of us can't read it. But it's Lena Platinos with Sun Masks, Maskas Helios, if I'm reading the Greek correctly, Lena. And so this is some experimental electronic ambient sort of sounding stuff, and it's good stuff. And then also in the weird batch here is Mel Brooks' High Anxiety. So this was soundtrack music from a variety of the Mel Brooks movies from the 1970s, maybe going back to the late 1960s, I think, with like the producers. So of course, most of us, probably the most well-known ones would be Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. Of course, most of the actors involved in these movies have now passed on, but Mel Brooks is still with us at the age of 99. And then finally, Red Spine, and it's also the Obi's red as well. So this is Morphine Like Swimming. So this was Morphine's album from like 1997. I haven't been doing a very good job in mentioning years. Leah Platinos was like from the mid 80s, I think 84. Get Behind Me, Satan was from like 2005 or 2006. You can look it up on Discogs if you actually care, and you can correct me down below. Like Swimming, so this was sort of a major label debut for Morphine, probably their most commercially successful record. First time on vinyl, on opaque blue vinyl. And of course, a few years after that, we of course lost Mark Sandman. And so that was the end of Morphine as a band. And then I'm going to show some records involving the Dead. So, Dead records. So of course, we have Grateful Dead records. So this is like your Skull and Roses live record from 1971. And 3 of those 5 gentlemen have passed. Ron Pigpeg McKernan passed in like 1973, so only a couple years after this was made. He died young. Jerry Garcia died in 1995. And Phil Lesh passed away just about a year ago. I think we still have Bob Weir and Bill Kreutzmann from this lineup are still around. And then there was a obscure early 1990s sort of funk metal alternative band, Big Hunk of Cheese, from Bowling Green, Ohio. They did a song called Jerry Garcia, where the lyrics were Jerry Garcia's dead. This was put out, of course, a few years before Jerry Garcia actually passed away. We've also got the Dead Milkmen, Big Lizard in My Backyard. They're reissuing this for Record Store Day. Numbers look pretty limited, so I probably won't get it. But of course, I've got the original cassette anyway on Restless. So why do I need Record Store Day wax? And the bass player Dave Blood has passed away from the Dead Milkmen. Then, of course, we have the Dead Kennedys, and because it's October, it's almost Halloween, so this is their 1982 single, Halloween and Saturday Night Holocaust, of course, on Alternative Tentacle Records. This is, of course, with what would probably be considered the classic lineup, with Jello Biafra and East Bay Ray and Klaus Fluoride and the drummer D.H. Pelago, who we did lose a couple of years ago. So he's passed away from the Dead Kennedys, and of course lots of members of the Kennedy family over the years. And what do I have left? Oh, I got a couple more left to show. We've got... so that was a 7-inch single for you, Martin. Now here's a 12-inch single. This is Dead or Alive, Brand New Lover. And somebody wrote the price there on Pete Burns' head. And of course, Pete Burns did pass away several years ago. At least, I'm pretty sure this was their biggest hit, at least in the United States. Brand New Lover. And then finally, I know this is somebody that got rediscovered several years ago, but I really didn't get on the bandwagon for them until today, but a band called Death. So the proto-punk band from Detroit, Michigan. So this is the reissue of their recordings from like 1975. Originally only a 7-inch single came out. That's incredibly rare. The three Hackney brothers, David, Bobby, and Dennis. David, the guitar player, he's the one who passed away before their music got rediscovered, and they gained at least some degree of popularity. Politicians in My Eyes came up randomly on for me when I was streaming music in the car, and I loved the song, and I watched the documentary about them, and Death is a really cool band. So that's my Red and Dead for you, Martin.